So, guys, I am going to do a collective reading for my viewers, people who come across this video. I haven't done a reading in a while, so I'll say a while, maybe a week. So I'm going to get you guys' energy and see what messages come out for you. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to try to do a finance reading because I haven't done a finance reading in a couple of videos. And thank you for watching. I hope you stay for the entirety of the video. If you're not familiar with the way I do videos, it usually is a general love and finance reading. Sometimes if one reading goes a little bit over, I won't get to either love or finance, but I'm going to try to get to finance in this reading. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, let's get going. Okay, so usually actually the way that I do this, so we're going to turn on one card at a time. So unfortunately for you, there is a very negative energy. One of the most negative energies you can have that isn't like on a level of some like psychological issues. So for me, whenever the Queen of Wands comes in reverse, and this is not about gender, it's about the personality traits of the character, whoever it is, they're demonstrating. When you find out, it's one of those things where when you find out how this person genuinely feels about you and the steps and the things that they have done in order to spite you, you almost wonder to yourself, does this person have psychological problems? Because it mirrors like a stalker energy where people become obsessed with other people, regardless of the level. Because I think like normal functioning brains, right? And like people who have typical normal relationships and interactions with people would deem, having strong emotions for someone that you encounter, someone that you have a relationship with, someone that you know or you have some sort of connection with as normal. But then you get into these situations where you meet people, and we see it every day on social media, where it's this vitriol of hate that comes at people who other people don't even know. Like, I don't even know you, but I decided I don't like you. And the level of disdain and envy and jealousy and all of the negative emotions is not just about being, I think oftentimes, just knock the camera. Oftentimes, especially in females, when you, or anybody who exhibits feminine energy, whenever there's like sort of a hating energy from another person who exhibits feminine energy, we just deem it as jealousy and envy. And I think jealousy and envy are two negative qualities of the human condition that we kind of brush off, and we don't give the same sort of energy or the same sort of weight, excuse me, because it's deemed as feminine. Right, whether it's a man or whatever you gender wise, it's a feminine trait, right, to be jealous and envious. And so we don't give it as much weight. And anything that has to do with feminine energy, we don't give as much weight. But people need to understand that it is a flaw of human nature. It's not just a female flaw or a feminine energy characteristic in the negative. It is a flaw of human nature. And people have done some really wild, crazy things out of just envy and jealousy. And so where you're not putting those feelings, those negative feelings on the same level as you would heartbreak or, sadness or depression, they hold the same level of consequence in life. And so there needs to be more attention paid to people who display these sort of characteristics. When you notice these characteristics in a human being, it should automatically put you on notice that, because I think oftentimes what ends up happening is when we see someone who's jealous and envious, we want to call them haters, and we make it almost like a popular culture badge of honor that, oh, somebody's envious of me, that's jealous. And that's not it. What it is it's a flaw in human nature. It's a flaw in character that can have dire consequences. People have killed over envy and jealousy. People have, I think that's about as, that's the worst you can get is killing. But people have killed over envy and jealousy before, plenty of times. It happens every day. And so to just kind of brush it off as something that is, I need to engage in, oh, this person is jealous of me, or they're envious, and well, look at me now. And that sort of kind of frivolous, like mean girl high school attitude towards that is like when you meet a person who really has the capability of carrying out their negative intentions towards you, all of a sudden jealousy and envy doesn't have that sort of frivolous, childish sort of competition energy. It becomes very serious. And so I feel like you have someone around you who's displaying these very negative human characteristics towards you, and it's someone you need to be cautious of, as opposed to trying to engage with them in an immature sort of high school mean girl fashion and make them more jealous or more envious and just kind of counter it as being a hater. It's a little bit more serious than that, because again, this is a flaw in the human design, and we all have it. We're all capable of it. It's not that we're not capable of it. And some people have elevated past it. All right. And some people fall in the ditch of certain human flaws that I feel like this person has. So it's someone you need to take serious. Okay. And there's somebody here who is jealous of your material world. And that's usually what it is, right? It's very few people who get jealous of your spiritual maturity, right? It's very few people who's like, oh, this person is really spiritual and they know a lot about, I mean, sometimes that can happen, but for the most part, usually energies aren't like this Queen of Wands energy in the reverse. They aren't mature enough to have that kind of elevated view to be jealous of. But they're very grounded, right? And the Three of Pentacles, you can't get more grounded. So the one thing I will say, the negative aspect of Pentacles, because all suits have their positive and their negatives, right? And as a suit, the negative aspect of Pentacles is the lower the number of pentacles, the closer you are to the ground. And what I mean by that is the higher. So if you notice in tarot, if you watch tarot a lot or you know anything about tarot, the higher the number, the closer you are to some sort of spiritual enlightenment or elevation, or even like people oftentimes will say 10s are like the end of a cycle. When you hear stuff like that, that's automatic triggering words to spiritual stuff, like the end of a cycle. What's a cycle? Because people who are very grounded and don't pay attention to themes in nature and life in the universe and things of that nature don't really qualify or quantify their life as cycles. It's just they're going through shit, and this is what I'm going through today, and tomorrow I'll be going through something else. But people who have an elevated view of life, speak like that or think in those terms. And so when you get closer to the 10s, you get closer to an end of a cycle. This is what a lot of people would say. So if you think about it that way, and then you think about it in the reverse. So if you're closer to the end of a cycle, which is very spiritual or universal in nature, right? The closer, the further away from that is the closer you are to just the ground, right? Not being elevated, being on the ground. And being on the ground means not having a higher sense of purpose, of self, of understanding. And so this person is at the Three of Pentacles, and the Three of Pentacles is that. It's this person, the reason why they are controlled by their base level, negative human characteristics is because they're just not very elevated. They're not very in tune with themselves, with the universe, with spirituality, with religion, or whatever higher power that they believe in. They're not very in tune. And so they get weighed down by all of the material world. The material world is a burden on all souls, because souls are not material. Souls are inherently spiritual. And they belong to the universe, right? In connection, universal connection. And so that's where the discrepancy comes from, when our souls are geared right towards a higher purpose, but our physical bodies are grounded in materialism and the stuff that in the world that we see every day. And the world that we see every day is harsh and hatred and jealousy and envy and hurt and pain, the worst of the worst, right? That people are capable of doing and being involved in and feeling and perpetrating. And this person is so on ground level of that they don't see, like, we all met those people in life who, I think the Diddy case is, one, and like, because it's pretty much the downfall of the music industry. I think the music industry right now is going through their Me Too movement, where you have people who are still shocked that there are people in life, the people who are at the echelon of the material world, and genuinely believe they didn't commit every atrocity that could be committed on this earth in order to get there. People are so shocked about that. People still think, like, no, these people just work really hard and you'll become a billionaire with, politicians in your pocket and world leaders, groveling at your feet. People literally still believe that. And so when the curtain falls and you see what all of these really powerful, wealthy humans have done to get to where they are, the average day, everyday person is appalled. Is that, how is this allowed to happen? Because you live in a 3D world, you don't live in a spiritual world. And the 3D world is run by people who live in this Queen of Wands and the reverse energy. And you've met somebody like that. You've met someone who lives in that energy. And it's something to be cautious of. It's something to take notice of. It's something to, this person is incredibly, because the thing about it is that things that set off people who just live in sort of a negative, jealous energy, not a lot. I think that's the kind of the takeaway from the reading or just meeting people like this in life. It doesn't take a lot. Like, you're sitting there thinking, if you're watching this video, you're thinking to yourself, but I don't have, what do I have? Like, what do I have? It's not like I'm sitting on top of the world like Shakira. I don't know. That's just the name of a celebrity that came to mind. It's just whoever comes to mind. I'm not a multimillionaire. I don't live in a $500,000 home. What is this person so jealous of? And the thing that you are doing is rationalizing the negative human experience. And it's not something that can be rationalized. That's why it's a plague on humanity. And that's why we're tasked with overcoming that base level, unevolved parts of ourselves. And most people fall very victim, right? It does not make sense, and it's not going to make sense to an elevated brain. And so you're trying to rationalize somebody else's feelings about the things that they feel towards you is never going to make sense to you. And so I just want to say that I think that was a caveat and a message that needs to be heard, because I think you're wondering, you're thinking to yourself, like, but why? But why me? But why? And then the devil card came out. I just pulled the devil card. I was like, let me pull some other card. Yeah, the devil card and the music material. This person is incredibly obsessed with gaining. And that's it. That's just it. They're incredibly obsessed with gaining. Whatever the gain, and they literally, they're not very in tune with their emotions. They're willing to fight, cause conflict. The one thing they're not willing to do is work really hard in order to get the things that they want. Because they don't see that as the way to get to the things that they want. This person is incredibly egotistical and very lost emotionally, egotistical and lost emotionally. And I think the devil resides in people that way in a material world. Somebody who's very ambitious, wants what they want, wants the best out of life, and is willing to work hard is a very different person than the person who wants everything in life, wants what they want, but is not willing to work hard in order to get it because they don't see the value in hard work, but they see the value in attaining the material things that they want. And so they're the playground for the devil, because the devil will work on them harder because they are willing to do whatever it takes. And when I say whatever it takes, you have people selling children as sex slaves in this world today in order to make a profit. And I personally, people all, everyone has their own triggers. And you might be listening to like, oh, I think, well, killing someone is worse than selling a child to sex slavery. And for me, my lowest of the low is like, you can kill somebody and to me still wouldn't be worse than selling a child into sex slavery. So for me, that's my bottom. Somebody else's bottom might be murder. So when I say people are willing to do the worst of the worst and hit exactly rock bottom in order to gain the things that they want in a material sense, we're seeing this play out with Diddy. Then that's what I'm speaking about in this reading. I'm not saying that the person that you're dealing with has done that, because they may have not had the opportunity to do it, but it's not saying that if they had the opportunity to engage in that type of behavior in order to get the things that they want, that they wouldn't do it, because the devil is here. I think sometimes people downplay the seriousness of certain cards, because who wants to hear a reading like that, right? But you understand the symbolism of the devil, right? You understand that the devil is the lowest base level of human evolution that you can possibly get in divination, as far as tarot, and in our society. We all know what the devil represents, right? And then you have the devil in a tarot card, which is divination. It is the lowest of the low of it's animalistic, right? So when you think about the devil, I'm not talking about in a Christian sense, because we talk about the devil in a Christian sense, but if that's how you have to relate it, then by all means relate it that way. But you have to think about the devil as the base level, unevolved, animalistic drives that we have, where religion and spirituality tries to elevate us past those animalistic drives. And people fall short so often of that elevation. The story of Adam and Eve is literally about foregoing your human, flawed, base level, animalistic desires in order to obtain elevation. And they could not do it. And so people always fall into the devil. People so often fall into the devil because the body is flesh. It is made of the devil. And the only way to elevate the flesh is to elevate the soul. And most people are not. Too many people are disconnected from their soul and don't see value in the hard work to getting to that elevation. And so they fall into the devil. And when the devil is present, there is no, whatever the lowest of the low is for that person, that's what they will do in order to obtain the things that they want. So that is a person you need to be careful of, and to minimize it as a just, this is a cute little, they're a hater, is not giving the weight to the situation that it deserves. Okay. So that is what I'm getting for the general reading. I know that was heavy, but sometimes life is heavy. So we're going to go right into the finance reading. Actually, I'm going to do the love reading last. I usually do love reading second, but I'm going to do love reading last. And then if you look in the description, you'll see the time steps for the reading. This finance. So your finances are looking really well. Regardless, there's going to be some hiccups. There are going to be some hiccups. But regardless of whatever the hiccups are, you know that you're going to come out on top. So it's, if you are going through like a career change right now, just for example, if you're going through a career change, right? Yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. So let me just finish the thought. If you're going through a career change right now, right? Just for an example, and you're worried about being able to make ends meet until you get your first paycheck, your last paycheck from the last job, and your first paycheck from the new job. And there's some serious worry because maybe the last job didn't pay you enough, and your car is in danger of being repossessed if you don't make this payment. But if you take this new job, there's too much of a gap between the last paycheck and the new paycheck, and you're going to miss the payment, and they're going to repossess your car. So that's fine. Let them repossess the car. Get on the bus. Go to the job. What I'm saying to you is whatever needs to happen in that transitional period that's going to be rough, okay? Whatever happens in that transitional period, it does not matter, because on the other end, there's absolute abundance that is coming to you. And I just wanted to make sure that I was reading that right, because you got the Knight of Cups in the reverse, which are delays and hiccups in getting to that place of material abundance. And then you got the Six of Pentacles, which is saying it's going to be delivered. Regardless, it's literally the universe and spirit telling you, I don't care. So when you're like complaining, let me just say this. When you're complaining and you're miserable and you're depressed and you allow the obstacles that are going on in your life to affect your entire mood and day, Spirit does not care. I'm telling you, they don't care. When you're talking to them, when you're cussing your angel guides and spirits out, when you're saying what the hell is going on, when you're cussing out the universe, the reason that they're not listening to you, and I'm telling you they're not listening to you, is because they know what's on the other end of this momentary struggle. Because all you can see is the struggle because you're in it. And then you come here and you watch me and you're like, oh, okay. But what's on the other, what the spirit universe knows is what's on the other end of it. So whatever happens, I don't care if it's something as severe as you losing you're like being, I want to say as severe as that, but I'm saying whatever the interim period is from one place to the next place. And then there's that middle is going to be a little rough. And you think it's the end of the world because you don't know what's on the other side of that middle. And Spirit is like, we're good. We're not listening. We're going to go over to the next concern that you have because I'm not really listening to this right now. And it's frustrating you, but they know what's on the opposite end. So just go through it. So what you're going to do is people run the risk of, like I said, I'm using this as an example. You're in one job and you know that interim period before you get that first paycheck is going to be really, really rough. And now you're questioning if you should leave the last job in order to take the new job because you don't want to go through that short interim period of roughness. And what I'm telling you is just go through it. That if that means losing your car and you think that's the end of the world, get on the bus. Let it. Spirit is not saving the car. I'm telling you right now, they're not saving it. Whatever you want to be saved and you're staying in that previous shitty low paying job in order to maintain because you've been maintaining with the past, I'm telling you, let it go. And it's going to be a rough interim period and then you're going to get to the other side and that's when the abundance comes. Like the money is going to flow. It's going to flow. But nothing is stopping the roughness of the interim period. It's not, you're not going to get out of that. But you're going to come to the other side of it. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense because I don't know. I can keep harping over and over and over and over and over again about what you need to do in order for this abundance to come into your life. But at the end of the day, oftentimes people chicken out. Oftentimes you get to the point where you're like, no, I can't do it. Like, it's like, I guess the best way to describe it would be, like doing what is it called? The triathlon, where people, that they always think about the goal, like the end goal of how I feel and the accomplishment of finishing a triathlon. But between starting the triathlon and getting to the finish line the triathlon, you actually have to do the triathlon. And so that's doing, maybe like swimming isn't your strong. So maybe you could do the biking was not a problem. The running was the problem, but the swimming you always struggle with. And you get to the swimming and you start swimming, like you've done the running, you've done the biking, you get to the swimming, and swimming is the last hurdle for you to get to that goal. And halfway through, you're like, I can't do it. And Spirit they're not helping you. And it's like, no, I have faith. I have faith. A lot of people have faith, right? That they'll get through the struggle. And halfway through, you're like, I don't have, nothing is helping me right now. Nothing is going to help you. You're not going to drown. It's going to be rough. But if you get through it, you'll get to the goal. Most people bail out halfway through the part that is the hardest for them because Spirit isn't coming to help you. They're not, because they know what's on the other end of it. You just have to go through the hardships, period. And I don't know how else to explain it to you. So it seems a bit rough because we all want to be babied and coddled and carried to the finish line. And that's what Spirit is like looking at. You just want me to carry you to the finish line and I'm not going to do it. So whatever you have to lose in order to get to the finish line, lose it. Because whatever is at the finish line is better than anything that you've lost. What you're going to gain is better than anything that you've lost. And it's definitely better than whatever you had in the past. So it's like Spirit is like, they're crossing their arms and like looking at you like, boo hoo, get through it. It's a bit harsh, but it's true. That's your spirit guys talking to you. All right, so we're going to do... I'm going to do a love reading. So the last thing we're going to do is a love reading here. I'm not going to pick that many cards out for the love reading because I already know what's going on with you and your person. This is somebody, by the way, this is somebody you are dealing with. This is not a crush. This is not somebody you have in your mind. This is not... maybe you have them on your mind, but you get what I'm saying. This is somebody you dealt with or are dealing with at the moment. Okay. So it's very specific to that. Mm. So this is somebody who's really in their head. I don't know if it's you or the person that you are dealing with, but this is somebody who is super in their head about you. This is like Eight of Swords written all over it. This is Eight of Swords written all over it, baby. This is the person that you recently have had issues with or you have broken up with is thinking about you. But they are like distraught. They are like in their feelings. They are in their feelings and they're drowning it in the bottle. They are, there's somebody who played you. They did. They definitely did. Now, this is either you or the person that you're dealing with, either in the interim period of you two not being together after the fallout of whatever happened between you two. Either you are thinking, like solitude brings, realizations, right? So in the interim period of you two not being together, I think that actually this is a relationship where you've tried this multiple times. I don't think this is the first breakup. I think this is a breakup that's happened once or twice or more. But because that's what brings about these super heavy, like the first time you break up with somebody, oftentimes it's like, it's not that serious. You get back together like really quick if you're going to get back together. And it doesn't, but like when it keeps happening is when every single time it gets heavier and heavier and you gain more weight to the relationship. It's more baggage. Every single time you break up with somebody and you get back together, you bring more baggage to the reconciliation than you did the last time. And I feel like this is really heavy energy here. So I feel like there has been possibly more than one breakup and reconciliation in this relationship. And that is what's causing this heavy contemplation of, is this person for me? Is there something better out there? But somebody went into solitude in the interim period of you two not being together, and they're starting to question, are you my person? Is this even for me? And somebody really needs to one person needs to get it together and figure out what they want to do, and the other person in the process of waiting for someone to get it together and figure out what they want to do is really starting to question if this person is for them. Like, is this even for me? Should I, I'm just, I don't know. So it's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of Eight of Swords energy here. It's a lot of being in someone being in their head, somebody drinking and then getting that liquid courage to like take action. Like, no, I'm going to take action. This is my person. I'm going to go and, find them and get them back. And again, if I feel like this, hold on, let me do this because I feel like I'm tempted to say this, but I don't know. I'm tempted to say this. Hold on, I want to say it. So let's see if I should say it. Yes, an apology coming. You see that? Apology. Isn't that kind of confirmation of what I was just talking about? Why would somebody apologize if it wasn't close to the scenario I was just telling you about? But what does this person take? It's a toxic relationship. So you got toxic relationship. Guys, listen. Somebody. So this is ugly. I'm gonna tell you this is ugly, and I'm gonna tell you why this is ugly. This is a karmic soulmate. It was fated. It definitely was. And I'm not gonna get into, and I just split the deck and said let them go. So I am not. I hate to give like definite answers when it comes to love. I really do. I don't love it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to make decisions that you're going to make for yourself. You're going to die in love, but another person can't move on. I'm going to put all this together in a second. And then truth. And this person now you got this person obsessed. You got this person obsessed, but at the end of the day, they can't be trusted. So you got this person upset. So let them go. Don't lose hope. Late nights. Okay, so where I'm starting because okay. This is a karmic soulmate. The reason why people have a hard time letting go of people who are karmic soulmates, I'm going to tell you why, is because you've been taught your whole life that spiritual unions are the end all be all to romantic relationships. That's what you've been taught. That's what you've been sold, this idea of soulmates. And then all of a sudden this whole idea of twin flames came along out of freaking nowhere, and everybody being more spiritual and more in tuned and more, see, reconciliation. I'm just going through the cards. I'm literally going through the cards, and all of the cards I'm literally just going through the fucking cards, guys. Oops, sorry, I didn't. Where'd that cuss word come from? Somebody else you're gonna meet. You're gonna meet someone else. But I'm sorry, I was saying. So that's what you've been led to believe. And then when I come along and I do love readings and I tell you the truth of the situation, And I tell you that spiritual unions are not the end all be all to what you believe a romantic relationship is supposed to be. So I'm not saying they're not the end all be all to what you're supposed to learn from them, but they're not the end all be all to what you believe romantic relationships are supposed to be. All right. And I could break that down in a whole nother video, but this isn't space. So this is a karmic relationship. The reason you can't let go of this karmic relationship is because you don't know how to classify the relationship. You're not a spiritualist, or maybe you, I don't know, but even still, you can get cards and divination. We don't know for sure, right? It's not like your higher power or the universe is coming down and talking to us through a bush. You don't really know. All you know is that you have a really strong connection to this person and it feels spiritual, but it is a karmic. And whether it's a karmic, a twin flame, soulmate, whatever you believe about spiritual connections between people, it does not matter the title you give it. The fact of the matter is, everyone plays a role. There is a purpose to that connection when it's a spiritual connection. And when that spiritual connection is supposed to end, it's supposed to end. And people have this belief system that because it's a spiritual connection, it's never supposed to end. Because what's the point of being spiritual if something is supposed to end? Don't your body end? You have a spiritual reason on this planet and this earth, but your body comes to an end. Your soul evolves, you change. That's a ending. Growth is an ending. It's the end of one cycle and moving into another one. So why people believe that romantic relationships aren't supposed to go through their cycles is beyond me. And I think it's the way we've been conditioned to believe. So when I tell you that, yes, you do have a soulmate, they're karmic, and you're meant to move on from this person, people's brains start to explode because like, no, that's not what spiritual connections are. You're not supposed to leave them. You absolutely are supposed to leave them, because what spiritual connections truly are doesn't match up with what you believe they are. Doesn't mean that that information is false. You are absolutely. I'm not saying you have to do anything. You can be with this person, reconcile. I really feel like you are going to reconcile with this person because you're hearing this and you still don't want to believe it. But it was a fated meeting. It was. This person does love you. This relationship is toxic. Two things could be true. You know, things that are contradictory can be true in a situation. This person will apologize. There is unfinished business. So you will get back with this person. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. In my you want to get back with this person. And I know if like you're a sort of, and it's, some people have antagonistic personality, Aries, where they're like, if somebody tells them they're going to do something, they're going to not do it just because someone said they were. And I feel like if you're that person, this relationship card is still coming up in the reverse. Relationship, one last chance. I literally just split the deck, guys. You two are too different. Yeah, it's about learning about yourself, and this person is controlling. And it really is your choice. It's your choice. Gossip, snake, mystery. There is another woman in this person's life. So they come back doing everything under the sun. They're still pretending. They say all the I love you. They act stupid. They act like they're in regret, but really they're unfazed by all of it. And they still are the same person. And forever change player. This is what you're trying to do to this person. But listen to your intuition. They're not going to change. They're not going to change. They push your buttons because they know that's how they get to you. You're in denial about this person and who they truly are. You're going to get back with this person because they light the fire underneath you. They're they light your soul on fire. And that means you haven't learned the lesson yet. And it's just something that needs to happen. But this is not the person you're going to end up with. It's not your end all be all. It's going to be pain, hurt, and trials and tribulations, and then lessons afterwards, and hopefully growth. But nothing I can say to whoever's watching this reading who's going through this is going to change their mind about getting back with this person when they come back, because it's still a lesson that you need to learn that you haven't learned yet. All right, so that is the reading that I have for you. I really hope that helps. I really hope you watch the video. I really hope you got something out of it. I really hope you subscribe and like and share and leave positive feedback and come back, and I will see you next time.